Alright, so continuing on from my last video where I removed the PTO shaft out of the rear housing and I have to replace that seal. The whole reason for doing that is to replace the seal in here. This is the PTO unit. This was a additional extra you could pay for the tractor. If you just wanted a towing tractor with no PTO, these would be blank plates. So in order to get this out, drain all the oil in gearbox and rear end, pull the PTO shaft out, and you'll see why in a second. There is a rod through here and a bolt here, and this is our engagement lever, or it's connected to our engagement lever. And as you pull or push it underneath your seat on the left hand side, this rod here forward and back, and pulls this shaft forward and back depending what you want to do, and a gear inside here engages with another gear in the top, and that gear is connected to the lower gears in the gearbox, and as they spins the two gears in here, which spins a spline shaft that connects to the PTO shaft, and then you have spinning at the PTO. So once we remove the little rod through here and the bolt, spins out, removes, get out of the way. Now we've got the drain plug down here, so obviously you've drained all the oil out of it already. Then we've got 7 bolts, 3 on each side, 1 in the center, 3 on the other side, and then we've got another 5 bolts on this side, 2 on the side, 1 on the bottom. And once they're free, out it pops. Now, given pressures over time, once you take all the bolts out, it may not want to move. You're going to want to have a little bit of pressure on it and something supporting it, because given the weight of it, it may suddenly drop, and you know, it's one of those parts you don't want to risk damaging. Now I will take this off, and we'll come back and have a look at why we have to take the PTO shaft out and have a look at the gearing on the inside of it. Alright, so the power takeoff unit is out. You can see the splined shaft there that the PTO shaft slides over the top. You can see the gear here which connects to the gearbox. Now there is another arm that holds it into place. However, I've already removed that, and it's an absolute pain to get them in and out. So I'm just leaving one out now so I can twist it in and out, make it easier. There's our gear which runs the spline shaft, and that's also connected to our engagement shaft down there. So it's got like a very rough kind of housing for that gear. It's just metal on metal, and as you engage that shaft in and out, that slides in and out and engages and disengages that gear. Now, quick look underneath. See if this works. So, that's where the gear pokes up into the gearbox, and that's where the spline shaft and PTO shaft go through. Now, we'll have a closer look at the unit itself. I'll get into a better area to see, but it is 2 separate gaskets, and that'll be more evident when we have a look at the control unit up on the table. And here's the PTO unit, a bit of a closer look. So you can see I removed the gear and the 2 arms on the side, these 2 holes. Funnily enough, the gasket doesn't include those. It's just the tightness of the shaft through the holes that stops the oil coming out. So that's why it's an absolute pain to try and pop it out. There's our spline shaft. there and a bearing in there. Bearing's nice and tight. There's another bearing in that housing there. And there is our select. Now, if you had all the gear, you could pull that bearing out, pull this shaft out, pull the gear out, slide the selector out. I don't have all that gear, so I went the time-consuming process of popping that damaged seal out through here. Bit of drilling, bit of pulling, bit of chiseling, but managed to get it out. And I've already fitted the new seal. It is recessed in the housing a bit. The newer seals are slightly thinner than the old steel seals, but it'll still do the job nicely. Now also here you'll see this little threaded plug here. There is a ball bearing and spring in here, and that engages with some burrs or some cutouts on this shaft, and that holds it in place when it's engaged or disengaged. You hear that obvious chunk or hear that obvious clunk sound as it engages in and out, and that's the ball bearing popping in and out of the grooves. That's the word I was looking for in the shaft here. So that's removal of the PTO unit. Dirty, complex, difficult work underneath the tractor. A lot of oil. I've had oil dripping out of it for 4 days now, off all the gears. But replace that seal, so hopefully there's no more leaks out of the lowest point on the tractor. I will redo the 2 gaskets as well, and you can see this flat edge here on the angle. That's what separates the 2 gaskets, and they do say in the manual if they overlap, it's going to cause leaks. So make sure your gaskets are flush and don't overlap this flat edge here. And that is the removal of the PTO unit from underneath the tractor. A bit of a long video, but quite the process. And until the next one.